it all depends upon the choice of speakers also. So I think SOS is doing a wonderful job in that direction. So just keep doing it, and I mean, we will be there with you always to give feedbacks. And I would request other speakers also to come forward and give their feedback, because see, the most important part of any such platform is the feedbacks which you get from people. And
Definitely.
I think that is one thing which we should always keep inviting. And very wonderful job till now, and nice to be indirectly a part of this group. Very, very, very happy to see such growth. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your feedback. So actually, it helps others as well to learn and take the benefits of how others are taking the benefits and implementing in their lives. That contributes to our growth. So today we have with us Ms. Somita Seth, and it is a great privilege to have her on our platform as a guest speaker. So before handing over to Somita ma'am, let me introduce her. So she is a National Law University graduate from Jodhpur with Masters in Intellectual Property Rights. Her experience as Fox Mandal Law Firm, Bangalore, added depth to her legal insights. The pandemic prompted a transformative change in her life, and she became a certified life transformation coach. Because earlier she was a lawyer, and she's a lawyer, and she was into practice, and now she has transformed into a life transformation coach that has kindled her passion for helping individuals overcome mental and emotional challenges. So let's hear from her wisdom what emotional intelligence is, and how we can benefit and control our emotions. She is dedicated to promoting holistic health and well-being, aiming to alleviate mental stigmas and empower personal growth. So we welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you.
And looking forward for insights from your wisdom.
Absolutely, absolutely. You can stop sharing.
No.
Hi, namaste. Good morning to everyone. My deepest gratitude to Harish sir, Shivani ma'am, and Ajinder sir for giving me such a wonderful opportunity to share my thoughts on emotional intelligence. And my deepest gratitude to all the attendees who have taken out their valuable time on Saturday morning to hear from me. Thanks a lot. And now, without wasting much time, I would like to introduce the topic of emotional intelligence. How this emotional intelligence is so important, because all these years after our independence, the Britishers' education system, which is we are learning, is we were focusing more on the IQ. But now, later we came to have realized that more than IQ, how EQ, that is our emotional intelligence, plays a vital role in our overall success. For example, like Hitler has a wonderful IQ, but we all know, and the history speak by itself, how horrific or tortured he has done to the humankind. And hence the role of emotional intelligence is so vital in today's day-to-day life. Emotional intelligence terminology, I found it first from a book of Daniel Goleman and Richardson. And in 1970s, he has coined, first time we introduced the concept of emotional intelligence. And this emotional intelligence, when we go through the book, it is nothing but more entire spiritualism of our Bhagavad Gita. And I got a wonderful opportunity to attend these Bhagavad Gita classes in morning from last 2-3 months, and it has given a wonderful insight that how the concept of emotional intelligence has been rooted so well in our Bhagavad Gita text, where we see that in spite of so much of chaos in the battlefield, how Arjun was shaking on the battlefield, and how Lord Krishna dwelt and went through her mindset and to help her to come out of this emotional turmoil which he was passing through. So after Daniel Richardson, many scientists and the university psychologists have undergone in-depth study about the emotional intelligence. And we now understand that the emotions, now before emotional intelligence, I bisect the word with respect to emotion. Now, what is the term emotion? How anybody can generate emotion? How, or from where the emotions are generated? Can anybody can type in the chat box how emotions are generated, or what is the root cause of emotion, how emotion comes, or from which part of our body we feel emotions. Would anybody like to share in the chat box? Okay, so past memories, when we feel from heart. Yeah, I was expecting the answer that emotions comes from the heart, but actually it is a myth. Emotion comes from the thought. So it has been scientifically proven that the thoughts create the emotion. So as the thoughts in our brain triggers the emotion, and hence we feel the feelings and sensation comes from our body. So it's so important to understand that everything lies in our brain, and so the emotion. So emotion per se is not causing any pain or pleasure. It is the stories we are getting attached with our thoughts. So what story our brain is giving to the thoughts creates the emotion, and hence that feeling and sensation is being created. Now, I would like to, in my entire session, my focus would be around the 4 quadrants, which I would like to share a slide where in my first slide, it has been said that emotion are not the problems to be solved. That what it means that emotion per se is not a problem at all. How we give interpretation to our thoughts creates the suffering. So emotion are not the problems to be solved. They are signals to be interpreted. And the best part of the emotion is they are transient. They come and go. They never remain static. So they are more or less like a clouds, like a passing clouds, which come into our life and they go. But when we get attached to that emotion, and when we try to create the stories around the emotion, that is where we get trapped and spiral, and entire sufferings we create. So it is actually, the emotion is something which we need to process, and with the help of the passing clouds, it will go. So we don't have to associate the emotion with our own stories, because our mind is very smart in cooking up the story. When we see the problem is X, our mind create a 10X problem around it. So this is how the emotion people considered as a negative emotion to be the cause of the suffering. But emotion per se are not at all related to the suffering. It is only how we interpret, how we repeat, and how we trapped in that spiral of being into a negative emotion. So as Abdul Kalam ji, our President of India, said, very well said, that if you can stay positive in a negative situation, then you win everything. So this is how the importance of managing the emotion. So we should, emotion should not manage us, but we should manage our emotion in such a smart way that it helps us in our growth, rather than taking us into a spiral of all our sufferings. My next slide, the topic which is around an emotional intelligence. Why in today's world emotional intelligence is so important? Because as per the Harvard study, only 0.004% people are there to help the depressed person. Just because of the lack of awareness of emotional intelligence, nowadays the youth are into the trap of into depression, anxiety, stress. So if we don't counter our emotional and mental well-being at this stage, it will create a tremendous problems in the future. And as per even the WHO study, 1 out of 4 people in the world are suffering from this mental anxiety and other emotional related problems. So emotional intelligence, as per the definition says, it is the ability to perceive, interpret, demonstrate, control, and use our emotion effectively. Yes, Hirani sir said that emotion is E plus motion. That is the movement which I'll come later. To my next slide, it's everything, as I told, that emotion is not created from the heart, it is created from a brain. So whenever any circumstances or any events happen in our life, it is our brain which is associating that event into a thought. And so events or circumstances are absolutely not in our control. What stories or what interpretation we are giving to that event creates the thought in our mind, and this thought leads to the feelings, emotion, and on the basis of that thoughts and feeling, our behavior and our future is getting determined. So everything starts from the mind, and it has been scientifically proven, and especially there is a book how the mind and the body are so much interconnected with each other, and we can control our thought process through our body. So in this session, it is also so important to understand our body literacy, that how through our body, we can message to our brain how to manage our emotion and help us in our growth. So people are absolutely unaware about the body literacy, how through our body we can give a message to our mind that everything is normal, and it is so important to understand the science of our brain, and it is a very interesting feature which I will be covering in the next slide. Now, the major focus which is so important in today's world is to understand is 4 quadrants. I made it, where in the left part we have self-awareness. That means to know ourselves. That means we have to know what are our strengths, what are our weakness completely, and able to see ourselves in the mirror without any layer of the dust, and accept ourselves that these are my thoughts, these are my strengths, these are my weakness, and how I can seek help from others to come out of my self-limiting beliefs. Second is the self-management. Self-management is how we have to behave, how we have to manage our emotion. For example, if a doctor has advised not to eat the rasgulla, and if suddenly the rasgulla appears in front of us, our emotion quickly comes. It has been said that it takes around 1/100th of the second to come to the emotion. So when the emotion comes and we are not prepared in advance how to manage the emotion, how quickly we get tempted to eat the rasgulla. Whether it could be beneficial to our health or not, that is a secondary thing. But we have no control over the emotion if we don't know how to process or manage our emotion. So moment we see the rasgulla, before we immediately tempted to eat that rasgulla. So the self-management process helps us to understand how we can make ourselves mentally strong, so not to eat the rasgulla when it is not advisable for us to eat it. Similarly, we all know that waking up early has so much of benefits in our life, but still, as soon as the morning comes, and our mind or our emotion will tend and tell us to sleep more. So, and again, all our intelligence or all our self-help books which we study, and what our shoulds we have to do and have tos we have to do, all go in the sideline if we don't know how to manage the emotion. So no doubt we are reading so many self-help development books, but if we have no mastery over our emotion, all the knowledge of the self-help books goes vain. If we really wanted to grow in our life, we must understand how to manage our emotion by step-by-step process. Then third is social awareness. That is so important, because now in the world which we are living is more divided than united. So the social awareness is related to a term called as empathy. If we don't know or understand the feeling of other person, if we don't understand what journey they are going through it is so difficult to develop a rapport with the other people. And the last quadrant is relationship management. As in the corporates, we know it very well that how the leadership plays an important role, and how the relationship management could be with our employees in the management, or with our leaders, with our boss, with our family, with our children. So how relationship management plays so important role in shaping our overall personality. So these are the basic 4 quadrants which we need to work over it to make our emotional intelligence much stronger. I hope I'm audible and visible and making sense so far.
Yes, Somita.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, in my next slide, these are the 4 quadrants which decides your mood. So, for example, if we find some person being angry or being depressed or being in a highly emotional turmoil state, we just, our biases comes in our mind that how you could be so angry all the time, how could you be so sad all the time, and we relate these emotions to the identity of a personality, which actually is not true. If I'm saying that I'm sad, it is an absolutely incorrect statement. I'm not sad. It is just this emotion of the sadness or experience of the sadness which I'm experiencing in the current moment. And maybe after a while, I'll experience again the happiness, or I may laugh, or I may do anything. So it is when we, how in NLP, it says that the language or the words which use are so important. So when you say, I'm sad, I'm depressed, I'm angry, the people are associating those words with your identity, with your personality, and which create an entirely a different perspective of a person who you actually are. So there is nothing wrong in having these negative emotion, and these negative emotion in a psychological study are called as a non-beneficial emotions. So as we say in a layman language, positive and negative emotion, in psychology they use the term called as beneficial and non-beneficial emotion. But let me tell you, do you really think that anger, the emotion wheel chart, which I later in my slides will show you, do you really feel that emotions of anger, sadness, grief, pain are really a negative emotion? Do you really think like so? That they are really a negative emotion and we put a stigma over it? But no, because we human beings are not a robot. We are, if we are humans, we are tend to feel these all kind of emotion. So suppose if I am having my lunch and I got a phone call that somebody of my relative is in hospital or somebody has no more, I'll immediately stop eating food. So how these database or the information which we are receiving impact so strongly on our body, and as a human being, these emotions are very normal. But what is so important is, instead of getting attached with this emotion for over a long period of a time, that is where it creates the problem. Now, in this slide, what it has been specified is how your body state creates your mood. So there are any example, if you could write it in your checkbox, that how sometimes your body states impacts your mood. For example, if you're hungry and if you're very much hungry, then what happens is anger by natural comes. So if we take care of eating food on the right time, or sleeping, if our sleep hours have been reduced, if the thoughts we are getting it are very negative thoughts, or if we are speaking some ill words about others, so how this thought process, our sleep patterns, our hunger, all these impacts our mood. So it's so important to have the self-awareness and do the scanning of our body. What is the source of my anger? From where this anger is coming? So if you know your body state, okay, if my sleep patterns are disturbed, or if my emotion, if my thought patterns about are getting biased about somebody, or that creates the mood of a person. Then your relationship, definitely everybody knows, and in a very beautiful book of You Can Heal Your Body by Louis Hay, it has been explained that how unresolved relationship, whether with our father, mother, sibling, or friend, impacts so much our body health. So in her book, she has mentioned it so beautifully, how resentment creates cancer in your life, how when you try to control other people creates diabetes in your life. So all these, how it is important to have a wonderful relationship, how to forgive people, how to let go people, not for their sake, but for our own peace of mind, and how when our relationships are at stake, our moods also get impacted, our emotions are also get impacted. Then the third quadrant says about your past, because our brain has 100 billion neurons, and it is keep capturing so much of information on everyday basis, and these information has been stored in so much of packets of neurons in our brain, that when we see a person, our brain immediately takes us to the back database about that person and that biased opinions about that person, and that creates again our mood, depending on what kind of people we are encountering on everyday basis. And definitely your present living condition. So suppose if I'm living in a very difficult condition with harsh temperature, or then definitely it impacts our mood. So these basically 4 quadrants help us to understand that how our body and our interconnection with the other people impacts our mood. The next slide. Now, this is the most important slide, and which I would like to twist it and explain you in a more simple terminology without undergoing into the deep intricacies of the science. So I will explain you the structure or the science behind the brain without going into that scientific terminology. Now, how the brain, what is the science of a brain, and how the brain and the body are so interconnected when it comes with respect to our emotion feelings. So in this slide, I would like to, am I visible? Am I visible, right? I just, can you spotlight me? I just remove the slide for a time being. Yeah. So in the science of brain, it has been explained. Now this is so important, because our human brain has been not the primary job of a human brain is not to make us happy. The primary job of a human brain is survival. Our brain structure is still of a hunter-gatherers thing. It has been, our brain structure is exactly the brain how the hunter-gatherers used to work. So in that concept, the main job of the brain is to look after our safety. So when the hunter-gatherers used to go in the forest area and they used to hunt, whenever they used to see the lion or the tiger, what they do is either they used to run, or if they're strong enough, they fight, or they go into the freeze mode. So similarly, the structure of the brain is developed in such a way that either whenever we see any threat, now, though the technological advancement has happened so much, but still our brain doesn't understand the difference between the physical threat and the psychological threat. So even in today's world, when we get certain anxiety or a certain kind of a fear, then our brain considered that person, that boss as our lion, or it considered as a predators, and we try to escape it, or we will get sweat in our hands, or we will get so we can go into the flight, fight, or freeze mode. So it's the brain doesn't differentiate between the real threat and the imaginary threat, and so the importance of emotional intelligence comes into the picture, where we have to tell our brain, or we have to train our brain through our body in such a way that, look, this threat is only an imaginary threat. It is not a real threat. And how we get out of that spiral. For example, if my boss criticizes me in front of others, my brain will start spiraling into so many series or trail of thought. What if I get, what if he can expel me from the office? What will happen to the future of my children? What will happen to the EMI of my house? And so many thoughts, and we create a suffering around it, because the brain doesn't understand that this is a boss or this is a lion. He will try to protect you. He will try to put you in the safe zone. So hence, our brain structure is still designed in the form of an hunter-gatherer structure. So in simple terminology, if we consider this as a brain, then this is a prefrontal cortex of the brain. So the prefrontal cortex of the brain is called as the CEO of our brain. And this is the limbic area of our brain. And this thumb is called as amygdala. So what is the job of this amygdala is to protect us from any kind of the danger. So here in the limbic area of our palm rest all our emotion. So what happens is when a brain senses certain kind of a danger, the amygdala start triggering it. When the amygdala start triggering it, then the blood supply towards the prefrontal cortex stops. And when the blood supply gets stopped, what happens is the intelligence of the brain becomes zero. So now when we are getting so overwhelmed by our emotion, or when we are experiencing any panic attacks, or when we are in a very dangerous zone, then amygdala start shaking, and it is alerting the entire body. Look, the danger has come. Either you run, either you fight, or you freeze. So when emotions are high, the intelligence becomes low. Why the intelligence becomes low? Because there is no supply of the blood towards this prefrontal cortex. So this is how, the scientific way of explaining the brain, I explained through my hand, showing that when it is a very well said that when emotions are high, intelligence becomes low. Now, how the eminent people, like, do you think that Elon Musk or Abraham Lincoln or Nelson Mandela or so many or Narayan Murthy have not suffered emotion? They have also suffered a huge mental breakdown. Elon Musk has suffered a 6 month of huge mental breakdown, but how these people have still able to come back into their normal zone is that they know how to control the prefrontal cortex. So when we control our prefrontal cortex, we are actually telling this amygdala to calm down. This is not a real danger. It is only the miseries or sufferings which we are creating in our mind. And when this prefrontal cortex, when we pull it down, and then we know how to calm down ourselves, and we know how to take control over our emotion. And this part is our subconscious mind, or the brainstem. So this is how our emotion work. This is how the science of the brain works. So it is so important. Now, in one of the study, the scientists have asked that why don't we cut this amygdala? If now, since we are no more hunter-gatherers, since the technology advancement has taken so much, let's cut and remove this amygdala so that we will not sense any fear, we will not sense any danger. But actually it can't be happen, because this is actually giving us a sense of protection. So in one of the case study, they removed the amygdala of a person and just checked how that person behaved. So this woman, when she was going in the midnight of the roads, anybody could abuse her. She has no feelings at all. So you just understand that this amygdala is not a danger. It is our need how to control this amygdala. So that is the reason we should understand that amygdala is there to protect us. It is, and if we know the tools and techniques how to handle our amygdala and control our emotion, then that is the beauty of understanding the emotional intelligence. Any questions so far with respect to the science of brain, or how we get triggers, how our brain not able to identify a real threat and the imaginary threat? Any doubts so far? Just let me know so that I can proceed with the concept of emotion a little bit we still have 30 minutes to go through it. So I can, because it's a huge topic and I would like to give maximum information so far in this 1 hour period of the time. Now,
Can we train the amygdala?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm asking, can we, train this amygdala part
Yeah,
of the brain?
absolutely, absolutely. That is the beauty of neuroplasticity, because earlier it was considered in the research study that brain is a machine, but brain is actually not a machine. It is a malleable, means we can change, we can handle our emotions in a very wonderful way so that it helps us to our growth. Because sometimes I feel that negative emotion are it's something again in our head, again in our mind, because negative emotion are actually our wake-up call that these things need to be worked on it. And if we are not working on our negative emotion, again we are going into that spiral thing. So now the emotion word comes from, like, as people have typed in the message, E plus motion. That means our motion creates the emotion. So if, as you have asked me the question, can we train this amygdala? Yes, we can train this amygdala by moving our body. So as we know that the trait or the characteristic of hunter-gatherers is they used to walk a lot, they used to move their body. So the moving or the movement of the body not only impacts our physical health, but it impacts our emotional well-being also. So if you are, as very beautifully said by one of the psychologists of the Boston University, Mr. Michael Otto, he said that if you don't move your body, if you are in a bad mood, and if you don't move your body, or if you don't go for a nature walk, it is exactly like not taking an aspirin when you get a headache. So as the aspirin is so important to cure a headache, similarly, going to the nature and going for any kind of physical activity, it could be a dance, it could be 30 minutes plain walking, it could be anything. So even it has been said that from 30 minutes even to 17 minutes, if you face any kind of emotional turmoil, or if you face any kind of low, even shaking your body on this chair itself, 17 minutes shaking your body itself helps to control this amygdala. So because we are running, so we are saving our body. When we run or when we go for the walk, the amygdala thinks that, yeah, the danger is, we are escaping from the danger and we are coming back to the normal. Though there is a huge practices, there are various tools and technique which only we can attain through the practice. And one of the most important beauty of the humans is, as animals behave as per the instinct, similarly the human beings behave as per their observer brain. So in one of the chat, I just one of the person has said about the observer brain. So we human has got that privilege to know that we have the second type of brain, which is called as observer brain, and how the observer brain, with the help of our observer brain, how we can detach and look ourselves in a broader picture. For example, if you are eating a mango, you are just experiencing the juice, the color, the texture. But if you're seeing somebody on a movie hall, on a screen, eating that same mango, how you are observing from the distance. Similarly, when we are getting spiraled in our emotion, how we have to become an experience or observer brain, and not, instead of not getting attached to the stories or to the thoughts which we are giving, the stories which are cooked up in our brain, we have to detach from it. Yeah, that is a dissociated state. So how we can detach and look at the bigger picture. Okay, this emotion, I am suffering it. So it's a very beautifully tool called as a 90-second rule, where as soon as you get or hit by certain emotion, just observe, just pause. So either you can go to your room, lock yourself, give 30 seconds time to pause instead of reacting. How do you respond? How some people are so beautifully managing their emotion by not reacting and simply responding. So responding is through the pause. So if we understand POETS, that is the acronym which I made it, where P stands for pause, So whenever you are overwhelmed with any emotion, or whenever you face any criticism, or whenever you are depressed, or whenever somebody told you abusive word, so instead of our anger, because again, remember, emotion takes immediately in 1/100th of the second, emotion will come, intelligence will come later. So we have to do our pre-homework beforehand only, so that we don't enter into that reaction spiral and later we don't feel guilt about it. So when we do the pause, what we do is we just lock ourselves. You can lock yourself in a room or a bathroom, tell the person that I just need 30 seconds time, or 30 or 10 minutes time to understand my emotions. So you just lock yourself in a room and observe your thoughts. Say, what is the root cause of your emotion? What is making me angry? What can I do about it? What are the thoughts I am getting it? Whether my brain is creating a stories around it, or I am just looking the situation as it. And then you have to segregate what are the controllables and what are non-controllables. So controllable component is something, in this scenario, what is within my control and what is not in my control. Accept the fact that this is within my control, and now you have told whatever you have to tell. Now the power lies in me. How I respond, I will say, hey, whatever you said, it really hurt me. Let's talk about it. So how from the reactive stage you come to the responding stage by giving up your body some time to pause, to slow down. So it is called as, I will show in one of the slides, I will show you the emotion wheel, where a person can experience a variety of emotions. So there are 6 basic primary emotion, and further when we branch it out, there are so many kind of emotions in our emotion wheel chart, where we have to connect it. Where is the emotion wheel chart? Let me show you. Yeah. So where we can connect it, like suppose if my daughter came home from the school very happily. So if I wanted to develop a connection with my daughter, I may assume, oh, it seems that you got a prize today, or it seems that you get a good marks today. But her happiness may not be always related to the prize or the marks. It could be having a good friends, or could be having a good food during her lunchbox. So the variety, so we may feel happy on the basis of so many factors. So this emotion chart we should understand, and it helps us to label our emotion. So sometimes I'm angry, but the other person don't know what is the cause of my angry. So if we label our emotion that, hey, I'm feeling furious because of your behavior, or I'm angry because you betrayed me. Okay, so there could be the various reasons to express your anger. So it is so important to understand and label your emotions, so that the other person does not cook up its own stories. And in psychology, the ability to label your emotion is called as an emotional agility. So this is how, if we understand this emotional wheel, it becomes so easier to communicate with the other person what exactly happiness means to me, what exactly anger means to me, so what exactly the sadness means to me, because other person have absolutely no idea why you are sad, why you are fearful, why you are feeling angry. So it's so important to label your emotion. Then you can, from 0 to 10, you can do your scaling of your emotion. How bad I'm feeling, what is the intensity of my emotion. Yeah, emotional agility is the ability to label your emotion. So when we have the cards of our needs, feelings, desire, and emotion wheel in front of us, it is always helpful to connect with our near and dear ones. That, hey, you look angry. So what does the angry mean to you? Can you explain me a little more? Okay, so you feel happy. So what does happiness means to me? So when we understand the root cause of our happiness or root cause of our anger, our brain get a stimulus, okay, not to cook up the stories beyond. So this is how the emotion wheel helps to get connected and understand and develop an empathy towards the other person. Now, now these are the emotion and how the emotions are generated with our thought process. So emotions are nothing but it doesn't abruptly or magically creates. Emotions are created only and only through our thoughts. And it is very natural to feel all type of emotion, because we are the human beings. We are not a robotic. We are first an emotional being, then we are an intellectual being. Because when a baby comes out of the womb, the first sign of her life is crying. So we can't say that the crying is a bad emotion, because that is what makes a person a human, apart from the robot. So that is why the emotion are most important, and how we deal with the emotion is the next part of our emotional awareness. Another one most important, becoming emotionally fit actually implies that one is capable of identifying and becoming aware. So awareness is the first, that how do we aware about our emotion, how we communicate our awareness to others. So suppose, and sometimes if I am feeling low in the morning itself, I will just label my emotion. I will tell from 0 to 10, today I'm feeling 4. My emotions are at level 4. So please forgive me if I say something which doesn't help you. So when I'm labeling my emotion, when I'm communicating my emotion, the things become much easier for the other person to understand. Otherwise, if there is no vocabulary, other person will make and cook up its stories, and it is the natural tendency of the human brain to make a problem from X to 10X. So whenever an emotion is overpowering, and being able to manage and come out of easily, and we can see the better side of the life. So many times when the people say, I'm feeling very sad, I'm not good enough, and when they are getting spiraled up in the negative emotion, so in one of the SOS skill, I just learned how to shift your mindset from how to why. If I'm saying I'm feeling miserable, then what can I do to make my life beautiful? So when the quality of the questions which you ask yourself determines the quality of your life. So if you're asking right questions to yourself, there is a growth mindset, and you can scale up rather than getting controlled by your emotions. Next slide. Now this is a neurosynopsis, which is very important to understand in knowing the science of the brain. So what is actually the neurosynopsis is? So neurosynopsis is basically the conversation between the neurons. So we, in a human brain, there are so many 100 billion neurons are there, and each day our brain is getting live wiring. So what does the live wiring means? Whatever you see, whatever you do, whatever movies you are watching, whatever the social media scrolling you are doing it, whatever the words you are speaking, whatever the information you are receiving, they are all getting absorbed in your neurons, and these neurons are taking that information, and it is getting stored. Now what I would like to explain it on the piece of paper. I don't know how to spotlight this. So if I'm making, yeah, no, this slide would be better. So these are the neurons which I made it with the dots of my pen. I made the small dots. So these small dots are nothing but the neurons present in our brain. Now each neuron is capturing the information which we are doing it. So we have to be so careful in whatever we are doing it throughout the day. If we are indulging our habit into gossiping or seeing or scrolling the social media, all the information which we are is getting wired, it is getting absorbed by our neurons. Now what happens is, when any event happens, okay, or when any circumstances happens which is very not as per our expectations, so this is called as a CTFAR model. So as per the CTFAR model, the circumstances are basically not in our control. So when certain things happen which are not as per our expectation, then we get stressed. So when the expectations is not equal to the reality, or what we wanted doesn't happen, then these circumstances are not in our control. Now due to that particular event, the negative thought created in my mind, and that thought created the feeling called as emotion, and because of that thoughts and the emotion, my action and behavior are designed. So and because of that action, I respond or I react. So whether this we give weightage to respond or to reaction. It all starts from C. So C or E, you can tell it. So C is the circumstances or the events which are absolutely not in our control. Now, when certain event happen, which is not as per our expectation, then what story we are giving it to that circumstances creates the thought in our brain. That thoughts is creating a feelings, and on as if we are not pausing, then what we will term, what this thought will pull us into a resentment, betray, and all these negative thoughts will spiral up in our brain. It will create disease in our body, and our action and our entire reality or the future of our life get completely go out of the order. So it's so important to being aware with the event which are happening in our life, and how simply by swapping thoughts from one thought to another, how the feeling, action, and our reality of the life could be changed. So it is so important to work over our thoughts and how to dissociate our thoughts, how to help our observer brain to evolve in such a way that, okay, this person has done this thing, maybe as per her limited knowledge, or give them a benefit of the doubt, or understand what journey they are going through it, therefore they behaved it. But I have these, since I have the awareness, I will not allow my amygdala to flipper. I will use my intelligence and calm this amygdala. So how, because of the one event, a person can go into the depression state, go into the anxiety state, and a series of life can become in a haphazard way. So now in the neurosynopsis, what we do is, if anybody has gone to the therapist for the counseling, some of the people take, therapists take 18 to 20 sessions, and some require only 4 to 5 sessions. So why this therapist session of one person is different from the other is all dependent on this neurosynapses. Now, for example, I'm standing here, okay? And the basic content of explaining the neurosynapses is how the small mistake can convert into the forest fire, how the small head of the matchstick can create a huge fire if we don't have the awareness. So, so in this neurosynapses, what happened is I'm standing here and I have to cross this forest and reach over here. Now, while crossing this forest, I am connecting these dots. So I'm connecting these dots and reaching to another end of the forest. Now, suppose any event happen in our life and that experience is so bad that our brain will keep on traversing through the same neural connections. So suppose any bad event happen, I will call my friend, call my parents, and repeat, and the same negative emotions I will go again, transverse on the same pathway again and again and again, till that it has become concrete. So earlier this pathway was a grassland, and now when I repeatedly use my negative thoughts again and again on the same pathway, it becomes so concrete that the trauma or the event has become so deep inside the person's brain that the therapist take many sessions for a person to help her to come out of this loop. So why it is so important to understand that if we don't change our T in CTFAR model, if we don't change a thought, we are making this pathway so concrete, so hard, that it is so difficult for us to forget that person, that it will create a resentment, it will create so much of hatred in our body that that person is not suffering, we are the suffering. As it was beautifully said by Lord Buddha, that when we are holding an anger, actually we are holding a burning coal in our hand. So before we throw it on other person, we are burning our hand. So how important it is to change the neural pathway, give them a benefit of doubt for your own peace of mind. Because when you transfers this, if somebody's person, if somebody loses so near member of their family, and that person is keep on reminding the same life which she had with them, it is so difficult for that person to come out of this neural pathway and lead another purposeful life which they are born on this earth. So they are completely remembering that person throughout in their life. I missed him. I'm not, now my life has become to a halt. I cannot do anything. My life has become miserable. So when you shift your focus, so as everybody knows, energy flows where attention goes. So if you keep on focusing on this pathway continuously, it is so difficult to come from this to this. So it is so important that then these therapists help you to understand what good memories you had with that person. Now, what is your purpose of your life? Who are you? We never ask the question, who are you? What is the purpose of my life? Is my life is completely focused to my near and dear ones? Does I have the major purpose in my life which God has assigned to me on this earth? For me, the happiness of definition is to help others. So I feel happy only when I see the smiling faces on others, or through me, if anybody got happy, that is a real happiness. Because again, the happiness have two parameters, hedonic happiness and non-hedonic happiness. So hedonic happiness, we get it through the materialistic thing, good car, good bungalow, good dresses, and that is a temporary. But if you want to convert this unhedonic happiness, permanent happiness, then you have to work on everyday basis. You have to cultivate the happiness everyday basis. And how do we cultivate the happiness on everyday basis? By doing a beautiful work by Hirani sir, taking the magic book, gratitude book every day. By practicing gratitude, it has been research have been proven that by practicing gratitude, we can change the neural pathways of our brain. So this neural pathway completely diminishes if we practice gratitude every day, if we count our blessings every day. Some days will be high, some days will be low. Sometimes we will feel bad, sometimes we will feel low. It is just okay to feel all kind of emotion, because we are a human being. We are not an intellectual being. First, we are emotional being and then the intellectual being. So it is okay to feel all kind of emotion. But when we understand our blessings, when we play a glad game, when we can see the gratitude in every of our suffering, then we will understand that these suffering has actually came in our life to help us to grow. Till we don't do that karmic account settlement over there, we can't grow. So just understand from today onwards, if we can focus on your blessings, if you can focus on the silver lining, if you can focus on your learnings, if you focus on your positivity, your entire life can change. Simply shifting your focus. That is why it is called as ARS. A means awareness. Be aware of your emotion. Don't resist. More you resist, it will persist. Sit with your emotion, observe your emotion, give a pause, give a time to your emotion, do the journaling, do the brain dumping. In spite of going into the negative spiraling, write your feelings, emotion, thoughts on a piece of paper. As you do your body dumping in the morning, similarly, you have to do your brain dumping to clear all your negative taboos which you are carrying, or emotional baggages which you are carrying in your head. So when we do the brain dumping, when we start looking for the focus on the positivity, focus on the silver lining, focus on your learning, and why the learning is important, why we are doing so much of effort in giving the free sessions on Saturdays, so that when we grow, our problem looks minuscule. If we don't grow, if we don't adapt ourselves, that is called as the neuroplasticity or malleability of the brain. And it has been proven by doing the research on Einstein brain, how when after the Einstein death, when its brain was being worked over it, it has been big ridges were making from the north hemisphere of the brain and the left and right hemisphere of the brain. Why? Because no doubt he had an unexceptionable skills on mathematical skills. He was a trained musician. He used to develop a skill on violin. So every day, if you are learning new skills, if you are growing it, then your prefrontal cortex, that is the intelligence or the CEO of the brain, becomes extraordinary. And we all have this brain, as Brian Tracy has said so beautifully, that our brain is like a diamond. What diamond we are looking for? That the brain itself has unlimited potential. That's such a beautiful gem lying in our head. But we considered it as our enemy because our emotions are working against us instead of working for us. So by practicing, and then in my slides, I don't know how much time is left, very limited time is left, but I'll definitely try to cover what are the tools and the techniques which I practice on everyday basis to give the signal from my body. See, mind and body are interconnected. Simply by saying affirmations, it won't work till you are not aligning your affirmation with your goals. So you have to tell your mind through your body that how you can control this amygdala, how can you can make yourself a very calm person. First tool is tracking, which I practice every day. And in my Smarty routine in the morning, where I sit for the silence, where S stands for silence, I use a lot of acronyms so that it becomes easier for my neurons to learn and put that memory for my long-term memory. So I learn to associate things with certain acronyms or with certain stories. So in this,
what is A in ARS? Sorry to interrupt you.
No problem, no problem.
So I thought like to give you a break.
That's awareness. Awareness.
Okay.
Awareness.
Okay,
Yeah. So now what is a tracking? Tracking is basically when you have to practice beforehand. As I told, that emotion work at a very fast speed than your intelligence. So to allow your intelligence allow your self-help learning books into your practical thing, you have to practice meditation, which is beautifully, some people do Vipassana. That is also, I just got one chat question that how to develop an observer brain. By doing Vipassana, people do meditation, they do Kriya Yoga, and through all this, they slow down their emotion, they understand their emotion, they observe their emotion, and that helps them to respond rather than reacting it. Now, tracking is a tool. What you have to do is every day in the morning, when you sit in the silence, just close your body and do the scanning of our body. So you can start from the top of your head, or you can start from the legs part of your head, and you start scanning your each organ one by one. So you start with the head. Just feel what sensation, because see, we have not done body literacy. So you might find to understand the sensation which is there, but slowly with the practice, you will be able to understand. So just sit quietly and calmly. Just start with your head. See what sensation you are feeling in your head. Are you feel whether the sensation is pleasant, or are you facing any heaviness in your head? Or what kind of sensation you are? Just be with that sensation. Don't resist. Then slowly, you go to the different organs of your body, from eyes, nose, ears, to all the parts of your body. See where you are feeling pleasant sensation, where you are getting an unpleasant sensation. Now, why this tracking is important? Because we are giving the message to our brain when we focus on the pleasant sensation. For example, in my body, if my buttocks, I'm focusing on my buttocks, and the buttocks are very relaxed. So what message I am conveying from my buttocks to my brain is therefore to the amygdala that no need to trigger. This is not a threatening situation. I can manage that situation by focusing on the solution. So when I'm focusing, or when I'm doing the scanning of my body, I'm focusing on the larger chunk of my muscle of my body, that is buttock or thighs, which are in a relaxed position. And through that pleasant sensation, I'm conveying that message to my amygdala, ki look, nothing is danger, everything is sortable. So, and that pleasant sensation, relaxed sensation, I'm giving it to my mind to be calm down myself. So whenever emotions get hit, we have to train our brain through our body, because our body and brain are very much interrelated, and our brain listens to our body and our body listens to our brain. So that is why when we hear any negative phone call that somebody is in the hospitalized, we don't feel like eating. Suddenly our body appetite, we get lost. How? Because these thoughts affecting our emotion, emotions are affecting our biology of our body. So similarly, to control this amygdala, I'm telling my body to my brain that look, things are calm. There is nothing to worry. I don't have to go in flight, fight, or freeze mode. Then another tool of tracking is grounding. In my next slide, there is a grounding where you stand, or you can just simply sleep on the mat, on the bed, and make your backbone as a grounded. Or when you're standing it, you imagine yourself as a banyan tree. How the banyan tree is unshakable. How the banyan tree has become the home to the vast variety of the birds and animals. So when we do grounding, we are making that earth or planet earth, it's supporting me. So when we develop an utmost faith in the God, so in my Smarty routine, after sitting in silence, I meditate, or when I play a mind movie, I tell to myself that this Mother Earth is supporting me. So there is nothing to worry, because our brain is a hunter-gatherer brain. It has not been changed even with so many years. So we are giving a signal to our body that I am supporting. The universe is taking care of me. So when you affirm yourself in this way, giving a message through your body, through the grounding practices, your amygdala become trained to get calm during the adverse situation. Because nowadays in our kids, adversity question will be the another important topic to be covered. We know IQ, we know SQ, we know EQ. Now what is AQ? That adversity. Whenever we feel adverse situation, how to make ourselves calm, how to keep ourselves cool, how to make our intelligence work for us. In adverse situation, I am grounded. The universe is taking care of me. The life support system is there to take care of me. And last is resourcing. So if somebody are not able, resilience is a zone. Actually, I'm not returned the resourcing technique. So in resilience zone is what? That even if there is a chaos outside, we know how to calm our brain. And how to do that? By resourcing it. So again, when we visualize, when you practice visualization on the daily basis, when you play a mind movie, saying that, and you are dumping the positive emotions in your brain. By default, our brain is there to protect us from the survival. Our brain job is not to make us happy. So what we do is, when we do the mind movie or visualization, we are training our brain, going into a futuristic goal, feeling so happy to achieve that goal. And I am dumping all that positive emotion like a program chip in my computer brain. So we have to allow all the positive emotions and insert it in our brain, and we have to create all that dopamine hormones or happy hormones. We have to make an effort to create it. As it has been rightly said, which I used to hear by now my growing up ages, that पतझड़ तो स्वयं ही आ जाते हैं, खुशियों के लिए मेहनत करनी पड़ती है. So similarly, you have to train your brain, you have to deposit your positive emotions in your brain on everyday basis, so that it doesn't go into a extreme state of depression, anxiety, and all those things. So that is called as a resilience, or doing the resourcing technique. So in the last, these are the how this wave happens. So one trigger can create the forest fire. So how, if we are in a zone of resilience, we don't go into hypo and hyper stage. In hyper stage, we come in when the anger comes in our body and we don't know how to control the anger, we don't know tools and techniques to control an anger, immediately we go in a fighting mode, our heart rate increases, our breathing rate increases, and we and we are in a complete fight mode, and the violence happens. Or if we go in a hypo state, then we become numb. We have no idea what to do. We keep on crying, and we go in that depression state. So to remain in a zone of resilience, every day, these tools and techniques we need to practice to make ourselves calm, because there are triggers outside, lot of gig economy, lot of information, lot of stimulant. We are all the time comparing our life with others, and so much of stimulations we are getting it on everyday basis. So if we don't know, if we don't give morning 1 hour to ourselves, we will definitely fall in that spiral strip, and every house will need one psychologist or one psychiatrist to have a control over it. So it is so important to understand the zone of resilience so that we know how, whenever the emotions will come, they will come, allow them to come, stay with that emotion and learn to observe the brain, that whether my brain is making up the stories from X to 10X or not. So we need to bring that awareness. We need to bring that techniques of meditation to make ourselves calm. Any other slide, or we have completed all the slides? Yeah. If time permits, actually I covered most of it, neurosynapses, most of the part I covered it. I'm open for any questions so far. The rituals, the rituals which I've written, that is walk the talk. I basically practiced it after the COVID and saw so much of change in myself. Hence, these are the rituals which I would like, if you wanted to adopt, you're most open for adoption of that rituals. Practice 5 minutes of deep breathing exercise to start the day with calm and focused mind. So morning hours are for you. Do self-care, do self-compassion. It is take care of your body, because if you are happy, you can make others happy. If your cup is full, you can make others cup full. So if you are sad, the entire family around you, the entire people around you will be definitely unhappy. So just wake up 1 hour before, practice a deep breathing exercise. Whether you are into a yoga practices, you can do Bhastrika or Anuloma Viloma, whatever makes you calm. And it is so important. As sun doesn't take a break, even as long as we are alive, we should not take any break from following this ritual, because these are just, it will take you 30 minutes of your time, but it is so important to make your life a beautiful life. So practice 5 minutes of deep breathing exercise to start your day with a calm and focused mind. Stay away from your phone and any other external social noises as possible. As one of my mentor, Pawan sir, said that you wake up at 4 o'clock, but your phone should not wake up at 4 o'clock. So even if you're waking up at 4 o'clock and you're scrolling your phone or you're seeing the messages, imagine your day is gone. So this is only a me time which you have to focus completely on yourself. The third thing it's saying, spend few minutes doing a body scan meditation. You can do tracking or grounding, whatever feels convenient to you. So spend a few minutes doing a body scan meditation to check in with your physical sensation and emotion. Remember, you have to understand your body literacy. Only through your body you can train your mind. So just understand your body meditation. Tell them that I am calm. Universe is taking care of me and there is nothing to worry. Write down at least one thing you are looking forward to on a day ahead to cultivate a positive outlook. You can write your blessings or you can write your goals so that when you do resourcing, you are more powerful. That, okay, this is my goal and I'm playing a mind movie, because as it was being said, then Disney, he created a Disney in his mind many years before the Disney came into picture. Learn to plan your day actively every single day and try to keep yourself on those timelines. So there are some issues of overthinkers. Why some people are overthinker? Because they have nothing to do. So if you plan your day and if you work like a machine, okay, this hour, I divided my day, you have a purpose in your life, then you will not go into that spiral part of the negative feeling. Ground yourself by standing barefoot on the grass or earth for a few minutes, feeling the sensation of connection to the ground. So first thing in the morning every day, stand in front of your mirror and affirm, looking into your eyes. So how important, you can put a small mirror next to your bedside and make a small affirmation cards which suits to your need, because nowadays so many affirmations are popping up and you cannot blindly say affirmation. If your affirmation should be aligned with your personality, and then it works for you. So you can, and what are affirmation? Those who don't know, they are the positive statements which you keep repeatedly consciously, so that it goes in your subconscious mind and you are dumping actually the positive emotions in your brain. This is choose a resource from a personal resource list, like any goal. If you have visualized 5 years down the line what you wanted to become, or what is the purpose of your life, or what are your goals, you can imagine and create those happy moments or happy achievements in your brain to make yourself dumping in happy emotions in your brain. I think this is all for the today's class. Try to build your body literacy every day by connecting with your body. All I have explained it. So if any doubts and questions, I'm open for it. I have taken a little extra time of yours, so please forgive me for that.
No, it was excellent.
Thank you,
It was
ma'am.
excellent.
Actually,
enjoyed.
you added so much value in the session, and even I personally learned a lot, many things, and I hope our audience also enjoyed the session. So if the session flows in is going in a flow, and there is a lot to learn, we don't mind extending the time for some time. And that's a privilege to have you with us. Few people are even requesting for more sessions of you.
Thank you.
So we'll plan for that later.
Definitely.
So thank you so much for putting so much of value and so many new insights into our thoughts process and the way we must implement it in our lives. So any specific question we can take, ma'am, I would like to ask you two acronyms you used. One was the PO something. You are muted. You are muted, Somita ma'am.
Yeah, I'm typing it.
Yeah, okay. So one was PO something, and the other one you used was tracking. So
Yeah.
if you can send the acronym part.
Okay, in tracking is basically to be in the present moment and understand your body sensation. Acronyms, yeah, CTFAR, ARS, POETS. P for pause, O for observer brain, that you have to observe by detaching yourself. E is for emotion. Go to your emotion wheel, understand your emotion, label them, communicate in a right way. T is the thought. Just be aware what thought is coming in your mind, whether the thought is aligned to your core value. One of the most important part I left it is to understand your core value. We each human being are born with a very beautiful value system, which we acquired during our childhood, where as we grown up from our environment, from our family. So we collect these core values, and on basis of the core value, we behave in our lifetime. So suppose, for example, if my core value is peace and harmony, and if I see conflict in the people's life, I try to harmonize them. And somebody's core value could be love. They operate from the love. Somebody's core value could be honesty. So if their emotion of honesty, if somebody, break their trust, their emotion hits so hard that they go into depression. So understanding your core value is so important, and on basis of your core value, you can process your thought. And S stands for story. So you be aware that your mind is not making a story from X to 10X, because our brain loves gossiping, our brain loves to be in comfort zone. And so once we are aware that we are not judging others, it is our story which is cropping up in my mind, and only through a wonderful communication we can allow others, we can restrict our own story which is cropping up. So we can cut down our stories only through good communication. So POETS.
So that's great. And poet is itself a great thing. Like we must be in a poetry of life.
Yeah.
So, so very nice acronym, it seems. Yeah, Kalpana, you can go ahead.
Great morning, everyone. Shivani ma'am, Haresh sir, Narendra sir, and I must say, it was a great session with lots of information. Somita ma'am, I have a question. With me, what happens? It is not about the negative situation. These days, I am into public speaking. I've joined Toastmasters Club. I'm having some sessions. Yesterday, also, I had a session of mine where we help females take their question they face into their day-to-day life. I know I've done it well. So after finishing it, we say I'm working on my ikigai. But having that feeling of accomplishment, I feel that my mind runs very fast with lots of information, planning. I need to do this. I must do I should come up with some YouTube things about the social media, about my future plan. At the same time, I start thinking about my CA practice, things about planning of the studies of my kids. So lots and lots of things started happening in my mind. I feel like my mind is running in a marathon. This I'm experiencing immediately after delivering a session, physically, virtually. Instead of having the sense of accomplishment, feeling of achievement, that feeling of race in my mind, I feel. So how to work upon it, ma'am?
Yeah. So what happened is there are beautifully guided meditation where after every hour, it's just a 2-minute guided meditation. It will not take, like, instead of if somebody tells you sit for 30 minutes meditation, we keep on procrastinating it. Okay, I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll do that. But now we have divided in our guided meditation series, we have divided this 30 minutes meditation into 2 minutes. So when we have get overwhelmed with so much of our futuristic goal, we need to calm down and slow our brain and do one thing at a time, and we start celebrating the small wins. So when you make a planner, a diary, and you just start writing on hourly basis what you need to do, what are your goals, what are your short-term goals, what are your long-term goals, and how you calm or slow down instead of looking the picture at large. If you focus on small things one step at a time, then your brain will understand, okay, you have so big aspirations, so many things to do it, but the things can be achieved one at a time. So for you, I can suggest there are 2 minutes guided meditation. After every hour, you can do it to slow down your brain. Because right now your brain is, as rightly said by you, right now your brain is running in a marathon and it really needs to calm down. And the economy which we are living in, there is so much of pressure to achieve actually. So because of this pressure to achieve, we are always in work on mode. And because of this work on mode, achieving our targets, achieving our goals, achieving pressure, we are becoming more than a doing rather than being. As Eckhart Tolle's book, very beautifully it is said, to be present in now. So if you're going, even I do multitasking, but when I do one task, I'm completely into that task. So one can do the multitasking, but when they are doing one task at a time, completely focus on that task. So if I'm going for a nature walk, I will not at all take any of my gadgets or any of the other things. I'll simply observe the nature, because we have getting disconnected with the nature. We are getting disconnected with the soil. And that is how somewhere we forgot to slow down. So when you're chopping the vegetable, your 100% focus is on chopping the vegetable. So when we are reading the books, we are 100%. So you can do Pomodoro technique if your brain is running, okay, 25 minutes reading and 5 minutes break. So somehow you have to slow down your brain. That is what, and the guided meditation of 2 minutes will help you very largely.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Definitely, Somita ma'am. Yeah, definitely. These are very good techniques, and focusing on one thing will definitely help. So for this, I have also experienced this, but now I think I have quite overcome these things. So what make us do control our brain over like it is running all around, and so much information and so much opportunities we are getting from all around. So we must remember that first of all, we cannot do everything, and neither we should try to do. So always there is a second brain system that I follow. And I'm also planning to build up a like guided program for that. So I'm looking forward to it. And second brain system says that whatever you have, writing makes everything out of your brain. So don't keep everything on your brain. First of all, write down whatever you want to do and list it out. And in a day, if you're talking about big things, you can do maximum 2 to 3 big tasks only. And if they are like smaller tasks that can be done in 2 minutes, 5 minutes, pick up 1 hour of select 1 hour when you are going to do all those things. Maybe a small phone call, maybe sending a little small email, or maybe reminding somebody about something. So I usually keep aside that 1 hour or maybe 2 hours. You can decide depending upon the quantity and frequency of those kind of tasks, and then dedicate that hour to finish all those tasks together. That will give you a space, and you will feel like a lot many such tasks have been accomplished, and you will feel a sense of accomplishment. And then slow down yourself, celebrate your smallest wins. Even if there is a small win, we must always celebrate it, and then focus on that particular thing that you are doing at the moment, and remaining and wait till that task is completed. That can only happen when you write down your list, and then pick up the most priority one for the time being. And even when you talk down, that is one thing is that focusing on the very next step that we need to take. Our brain actually jumps for the results. Absolutely. It takes 10 steps ahead, but we are here at our desire. There is a difference between our current state and our desired state. So like desired state is here, and our current state is here. So in that case, when we need to go from here to here, we visualize over this side, right? And there is a lot many steps that we need to take. So just focus on your very next step, what you need to do, one step ahead in that direction to reach to your desired situation. And that will definitely help us to take a step-by-step manner, move forward, pace forward towards our desired situation.
Correct.
I hope that will add to your understanding more, Kalpana.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
So
Thank
this
you.
information need to be
Welcome.
practiced. You can make your planners and write it. And there are certain diaries which give you this in between that doodle art. You can do it to slow down your brain. So that from the running, you can give a pause yourself in doing the things which you make you relax. So this is a planner. You can do it if you have the planner, and in the top it's written most priority things, and then you can make your planner. And even there are shades of your intense emotion. If you're feeling good emotion, you can color them with a green. So every day, please keep a track of your emotions too. If you are getting a lot of emotions where you feeling that you are getting spiraled up and you're not able to detach yourself. So planner is extremely beautiful.
Okay,
so thank you so much, all the attendees. And it was really wonderful talking and having so much of patience to listen to me. I'm deeply gratitude towards Hirani sir and Shivani ma'am. Rajendra sir has, I think we are not...
Yeah, sir. Sir is quite busy in traveling these days. He's
Rajkumar.
So just convey my gratitude to Raj.
Yeah, sure, we'll convey.
Yeah.
So actually, he is looking for some big goals. That's why he is traveling too much.
He had joined for some time. He had joined for some time.
Oh, is it?
Okay, I didn't notice.
Yes, he joined for some time.
Okay. So,
shall
we take Manisha's question? Yeah. Who is this?
Good morning, everyone, ma'am. Ma'am, just one simple question, ma'am. When I'm very much happy and when I do overloaded work, so generally I sleep from 12 to 5:30, and sometimes it happens that just 3 to 4 hours sleep is enough for me. When I'm happy and I am doing as per my expectation, things are going, and sometimes it's like 8 hours sleep is also required. So just want to get clarification that less sleep in a happy mood and more sleep required at times, it affects the emotional intelligence in our daily life. So the sleeping hours should be fixed, or it may go up and down. Just little guidance on that.
Absolutely okay, because you have to be the best judge yourself in understanding your sleep. So if you are, if you woke up and you're not feeling good, or if you're feeling very irritated, you can relate it. Maybe it could be one of the reason, not the only reason, but it could be one of the reason that you had a less sleep, or because as Sadhguru said, there is a difference between sleep and the rest. So cycle or body clocks is varies from person to person, because Sadhguru sleeps only for 3 hours and still he is a very efficient in working so much of things. So due to those gurus who do a lot of Kriya Yoga or do a lot of meditation, their sleep tendency get reduces. But if you are thinking it is not hard and fast rule ki 8 hours or 7 hours, sometimes you can as per your passion you can work for more hours, and sometimes you feel you think that your body needs more sleep, absolutely you can sleep. So it is no harm, absolutely no harm in number of hours that which you should put on yourself. It is a rest which is more important more than the sleep, and there is a difference between rest and the sleep. So if you wake up with everything wonderful, then the number of hours never impacts the emotional intelligence.
Definitely, Somita, the number of hours don't make any impact, but it all depends on the level of our energies that we are in the particular state.
Correct.
So that's the reason most successful people daily work on enhancing their energies.
Absolutely.
So when our energies are high, even a small amount of sleep will be sufficient. And when our energies are low, we need longer hours of sleep.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you should have a
and there is no fix. There is no fixed schedule. If it would have been, everybody would have lived the same and be successful.
Absolutely. Any other question? Because I'm open.
I think we must close now.
Everybody to, if the time doesn't permits, we can close the session.
Because many people have left because of the overrunning of time.
Yes,
so we will like to conclude.
Yes.
If any specific question, you can write to us on the email, or maybe you can send via the Google form as well. So getting feedbacks gives us also energy to bring more things that you want. Because otherwise we will plan as per our perspective, and when you will give us feedback, definitely we will
it becomes more
plan the sessions accordingly. So I also thank you to Narenji. He has given a wonderful feedback. He has listed many topics that can be covered, and we will be working on it. I will be making an all-inclusive list of the topics that I'm getting from all of you. So we can add whosoever has any idea of any other topic relating to the self growth, and be it professional growth or a personal growth. So we will be taking all such topics of growth that can help each other and boost ourselves in our growth journey. Thank you everyone for joining in and making our sessions successful.
Thank you. Thank you, Shivani.
Thank you, Somita ma'am.
Thank you, Shivani, for acknowledging. I'll just take half a minute. First of all, I mean, the topics you acknowledged, and they are mostly based on the practical requirements of the day. I would repeat what Kalpana said, that in today's times, we are getting we don't know how to manage so much of information which we are getting, and we just get wavered from one topic to the other, and we are not happy. We are not ever happy about what we have achieved. So the other thing starts worrying us. This is all because of the present way of living that we are following. There is a lot of information we are getting overloaded. So next, I would like Somita to come again and address these things, which the current world is, facing. What is the solution for this overloading of the mind? Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I have already been suggested by many people to come with this topic, that is information overload and social media distractions, and how to live a peaceful and happy life in midst of these distractions.
Thank you.
So we'll plan a session, as well as I'm also planning to write a book on this topic.
As far as writing books is concerned, I'm always there with you. You know that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Definitely. I'll keep that in mind. Yes, Kalpana.
Clapping we are for as you are writing another book. Congratulations. We are waiting for your next book,
Thank you.
ma'am.
Thank you. Okay. So we'll close. Thank you everyone for, yeah, Jagdishji.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. I thought you have a question.
No.
Okay. Thank you so much everyone for joining us today. We'll be bringing new topic next week. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. I live so I am sweet of the camera. Sorry. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, sir. Thank you to you too.